Would a debt collector ever try to collect debts that were actually not owed to individuals? I mean, where these individuals did not owe, the debt collector would actually make up all of the information. The debt collector would make threats of jail time. The debt collector would make threats of lawsuits. The debt collector would make threats of wage garnishment. The debt collector would do anything possible to get these people to pay the debt collection company, and they didn't even owe any money to them at all. Is that possible? Would that happen in today's world? Would that happen in 2025? Well, I'm here to tell you that it is happening. FTC to ban debt collector who allegedly coerced consumers into paying debts they did not even owe. The Fair Trade Commission alleges that Global Circulation Inc., GCI, if you have any debts from GCI, any debt collection letters from GCI, anything from GCI, you're going to want to hear about this. But even if you don't have anything from them, you want to hear about this because debt collectors are getting in bold, and they believe that if no matter what they do, they're just going to have to pay a fine. Nothing's going to happen. They started up under another LLC or corporation. So my goal is to make you aware of what debt collectors are doing and what you need to do to make sure that a debt that they're claiming that you owe, that you really have to pay it. Because they're not just approaching people about debts, just making up a debt. What they're doing is they're attaching that to a debt that you maybe used to owe, because no one would believe it if it's something that you just knew 100% that you never had. What they're doing is they're linking these debts, they're buying these old debts that people do not even have to pay because of statute of limitations, and they're coming after people. So, Fair Trade Commission alleges that Global Circulation Inc., GCI, and its owner, Kenneth Redon III, threatened consumers with jail time, lawsuits, and wage garnishment to pressure them into paying debts they actually did not owe, that they didn't actually owe. The FTC further alleges that GCI and Radon, the owner, falsely claimed affiliations with specific lenders to trick consumers into paying, a violation of the FTC's impersonation rule. Let me tell you a quick story from a video that I did yesterday. A debt collector made a settlement agreement with us for a client for a debt that they had from a bank. We cut the deal, even got the agreement. When our client attempted to make the payment, they were not able to make the payment because the debt was pulled back from the original creditor, or from their client, because the original creditor never sold the debt. They just hired a debt collection company to come after them for the money. But this triggered by them making that agreement, even though it could be considered a technicality, but by them making that agreement with us for our client, him getting ready to make the payment, and this was a large payment, over $5,000, and then they say that they do not control the debt. By law, FTC and Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, this is impersonation rule, which is what they're doing with our client, even though they did have a relationship during that transaction, that agreement, and they did not have an agreement in place anymore with the creditor. That's impersonation. And there's a rule under the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act that they cannot do that also. So the FTC proposing an order would permanently ban GCI and Radon from the debt collection business, business, using a playbook of intimidation and threats of jail time to coerce consumers into paying debts that they did not owe beyond the pale, said Christopher, I don't want to tear up his name, it's Mufrig, director of the FTC Bureau of Consumer Protection. FTC will not hesitate to act against phantom debt collectors, and they will move to shut them down. So let's go a little bit with the background just to let you know how long this thing extended out. In November 2024, the FTC obtained a temporary restraining order to shut down the fraudulent debt collection scheme. The FTC alleged that GCI and Radon contacted consumers under a number of fictitious company names, called consumers out of the blue, and threatened them with arrest, wage garnishment, and lawsuits if they did not pay the supposed debt. Attempted to collect debts that either didn't exist at all or were not debts GCI could legally collect. Now, key word, could not legally collect. I don't believe that there was a whole list of debts that they just made up to go after people, because you have to have some information on the individual that they owe some debts. And that, let me just tell you, let me back up. Let me just tell you how this works in our mind. You couldn't approach me and say that I owe a debt and that you would threaten jail time and that you would, and to have me have any inkling that I owe that debt and that any of that could be happening to me, because I know for a fact that my credit is straight. It's 834 to 845 now across the board. No late payments on anything that I have. I have very little credit, and I just would not believe it. So they're approaching people from purchasing old charged off debts. Trust me, I know that this is the way that this is happening, because people would not just believe it. If you have good credit, you're on top of all of your stuff, and you don't have any lingering issues out there, you would not fall for this. But people who do have lingering issues, have bad credit, haven't been working on their credit, don't know what's going on, don't know what's on their reports, they're highly susceptible to running into these types of scams from debt collection companies who claim they owe debts that they actually don't owe. So they attempted to collect the debts that that did not exist, and I believe that was a small amount, or debts that were GCI could not collect, which would be debts that's beyond statute of limitations. They failed to identify themselves as debt collectors as required by the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act, and unlawfully obtained consumers' financial information in violation of the Graham-Leach-Bailey Act. Under the proposed order, Radon and GCI will be permanently banned from the debt collection industry. Debt brokering activities cannot, the owner and the company will be shut down, but the owner cannot have any dealings in the debt collection industry. Let's see how that works out. We know how people can set up corporations and not have their name outwardly placed on there. Prohibit from misrepresenting any material fact related to the sale, promotion, or marketing of goods or services, and prohibited from misrepresenting their affiliation or connection to any person or business, and from violating the FTC's impersonation rule and the Graham-Leach-Bailey Act. Monetary judgment imposed $9.6 million, which will be suspended after Radon and GCI turns over their remaining assets. GCI and Radon will be required to pay the full amount if they are found to have lied about their finances. The consumer voted 3-0 to authorize the staff to file the amended complaint and stipulated final order in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Georgia. So we can see here that debt collectors they feel emboldened, mainly because the rules are the same, but the way that they're being enforced, they just feel that, hey, if we could do something like this and get away with it for a certain period of time, make as much money as we can make, and then there's no jail time for this individual, which if a person is going to do this type of stuff and there's no real consequence of them losing their freedom, I could potentially see this individual, and this is only my opinion, setting up shop, maybe under a whole nother name, get another group of highly suggestible debt collection companies who might be struggling and doing something like this again. I don't know how long GCI had been in business and got away with this, but this is the problem that we are having. So now, if you're ever dealing with debt collectors who are sending you letters in the mail demanding debt, you need to send a debt validation. A debt validation needs to be one that will get their attention. If you don't put it together the right way, it's not going to get their attention. They're going to continue harassing you, and you're not going to get the information that you need. Some of the times that you need to number one, know if this is a debt that you actually do owe and potentially have to pay, and also to get them to back off if this is not a debt that you have to pay, because having a debt validation letter that is properly put together can stop this stuff from happening. Also, if you're receiving the call, a lot of people will say, well, Steve, I haven't received a letter, I have received calls. What you automatically do is you tell them to send you the information. You don't have to give them anything. You tell them to send it to you. If they had information about you and it is 100% true, they should have your address. They should have all of that stuff. They're getting your information from somewhere. They're not just going in the phone book or online, finding a number and calling people, because that would be too risky. Because if, just like I said earlier, if you're a person who has good credit, always pays your bill, never had any of these issues, then they're really not going to get anywhere doing it that way. They're buying these old debts, going after people, and in the back of people's mind, they know, oh, I had some stuff that was out there, and I haven't been working on my credit, so I don't know what is exactly out there. Still to this day, I have a lot of people who get those free credit reports, and they don't know fully what's on all three of their credit reports and what is actually being reported. So it's important to always have all of the information so you can know when you're working on your credit, you stay engaged and you know exactly what is on your credit, what you're dealing with. And then if they're sending you letters, you know that you need to send a debt validation letter to them so you can make sure that everything is legit. That bottom line, you want to make sure that everything's legit. So if you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, what makes us different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website yourorder3scores.com to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. That's where everything starts. If you have debt collectors coming after you, grab my 3-pack of letters, statute of limitations, debt validation, and cease and desist collection activities letter. Or you can go to summonsmaster.com, upload that debt collection letter. It will create an exclusive certified debt validation letter. All you have to do is sign it. You don't even have to date it. It's already going to have the date on there. It's going to have everything that you need to challenge any debt collector that is coming after you for a debt that you know that you owe, debt that they had purchased, or a debt that is probably 100% fictitious. The problem is that people when you don't do things, stuff like this can end up happening, where they end up putting pressure on you and you don't want to mess up your credit and you end up paying money that you don't have to pay. So if you have debt collectors that are going to the next level and they're trying to sue you and take you to court, go to summonsmaster.com. You can upload your the PDF file of your court summons, and it will create a fully formatted response to every allegation in your summons and a defense to potentially win your case. And every summons that is created has human oversight over it, so there's no way you can mess this up. It's always going to be viewed. If there's anything that needs to be changed or updated, we will let you know, and we'll actually do that for you and mail it to you. But other than that, all you have to do is upload your summons. It'll create it in a few minutes, and then you just print it out, file it with the court, send a copy to the plaintiff attorney. Thank you for your time. Subscribe to the channel, post your questions and comments, and do something about your credit. Don't stand still. We live in a credit society, and more every day, credit becomes more important. And right around the corner, there's going to be something also called a social credit score. So there's going to be 2 types of credit scores that you're going to need to worry about. And they're all, I'm going to talk about this in another video, but they're already using social credit scores. And so it's very important, not because credit is everything. It's just that credit is just one of the keys that's going to allow you to be able to maneuver through this world a lot easier, especially when you're trying to build wealth for yourself and your family. Thank you for your time. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and founder of the CreditRepairShop.com.